like if they, like they were back 2 months, 3 months, and they used to go and move. Right away they used to look on it for apartment, and they would, let's say there was 2 apartments, there was 2 people went there. Like they had to deposit the rent, because the rents were very cheap. And they used to move. Then some people, when it came time to paint, this really was during the Depression now, they had to paint, right?
Why?
And what did they do? They didn't want to paint, and they used to go around looking for other apartments. So they paid before you. They used to paint and everything before. Now you have to do it yourself. They used to paint the apartment, and they used to leave those apartments dirty, and then people knew how to work was bad. Some mothers had to work. And they used to live, they had young children because, as I said, they had big families.
Right.
And they used to leave their children, you know, maybe with a neighbor, or maybe with an older brother, and they had to go work, and then the kids would get sick, and before you know it, they had to be rushed to the hospital. Some children died, like malnutrition, because they couldn't, the mother wasn't there. Even if they gave them a cup of coffee, the kids had to stay in all day. And it was very sad, it really was. And then, when we had, like, now Pearl Harbor was, they bombed Pearl Harbor, you know. Who did the Japanese. They bombed. And that's when they started to draft. And they used to, like everybody had to go and sign, you know, for the draft. Then they used to call first the fellas that were like, we'll say 18, I think 17, 18. Then, now that class first one, then they go to the higher, you know, older years. Then they would take the children that were going to college and learning, not would say, you know, and the Jews, all the Jews.
Why?
They were exempted.
Why?
Because their mothers, they were all in college. And even if they didn't go, before they were called, they already had sent them to college. And in certain courses that they took, like we'll say, like if you took something like that, you know what I mean, we'll say, like a lawyer, doctor, they wouldn't, and those kids, and like if the war lasted 4 years and they could get out of school, they would make them go for another, like, masters, you know, the degrees, like they'd make them get more degrees because they didn't want them there. And all the Jews, we had very few Jewish soldiers because most of their mothers kept them home. They always had money. And then the women started making factories. They were making ammunition, you know. And the women went to work, and they had to work the night shifts, you know, and to make some money. But then things started to get better. And anyway, and they had to make airplane parts, you know, and that's what, because before that, no women ever worked. Women never went to work. There was no work for men. How could there be for women? See? So during the war, they went to work because they were making army suits, you know. The women went and worked in factories sewing. I never did. I was lazy.
Well, Grandpa was home, too.
I had 2 children.
And Grandpa was home?
No, these husbands were home, too.
Oh.
They were home, but they figured they'd make more money. You know, they would leave their children. I didn't want to leave your mother and your Uncle Petey. They were small. So, and Grandpa was working, of course. But, so they were making good money working in these factories and making uniforms and nurses, and a lot of people went to work, were like Red Cross nurses, they volunteered, a lot of girls, you know. But then that's when things got better, after the war. During the war, as I said, and then when it was VJ Day, oh, the parties, every block had, when it was at the end that they really said that this is the end, like, you know, all the mothers of their boys were going to come home. We have our church, Mount Carmel Church, in groups. They went to church and thanked God, you know. And we started the very next day to make block parties, they used to call them. And they used to buy beer and make the sandwiches. This is when they were, as I said, they were working. They had a little money. And everybody chipped in, though.
Mhm.
And dancing in the street. Oh, from one block, every day, some blocks, sometimes like three blocks at it. Then you go in this place and dance, and you go there in the street, screaming and yelling. Oh, it was so wonderful, really wonderful. And these block parties, everybody, you know, they were so happy, you know, that their children came home and the war ended, you know. Only the war, then we had the Korean War and all that, you know.
Mhm.
But those days were beautiful days.
So tell me why Grandpa didn't go to the war.
What?
Tell me why Grandpa didn't have to go.
I told
Yeah,
you.
well, you got to tell them. You have to tell me again. I don't have that tape.
Oh.
Just tell it short, you know.
Yeah, I told you. No, see, Grandpa, they only start calling men, like, say, well, I say like 18. I remember that was at the age of the young kids. And then they would call them the married men. And then, and then they'd call the fellas, single fellas, and some had to support their families, you know, and they would be exempted. But you all had to go and sign. Everybody that was between, we'll say, the age of 18 and 35, up to 35. So now, so they all went, and when they wanted you to go for your examination, then they called the single fella. Then they called first the married men without children, and then they would call married men with 2 children, and everybody would try to go there and say, you know, go to the where you sign up, you know, I forgot, and tell them, you know, give them a sob story, say, not sob story, but true stories. Say, look, if my husband goes to war, this, I got a sick, this, I got... They would look at your case and know he's got to go over there, you know, get exempt him. So, then as I said, then they start calling 22, 24, 25, and they started in the 30s. So they said, what we would get would be a greeting, like it would be, like a check, and on there it said greetings, or and everybody used to wait that day that you would receive that yellow paper, yellow slip. And I never forget, I was going downstairs with your mother and Uncle Peter, and the postman came and he handed me that paper. I said, oh God, I hope this envelope don't have the greetings. Sure enough, it was a yellow paper, it said greetings. And they tell you where you had to go to be examined and all that. So I tried to, you know, say that, you know, I had no body, that we had no money, you know, that loan. But the grandpa was working for Coca-Cola. And then he went for his examination. And as I told you yesterday, he was born with a murmur of the heart. And we thought, well, every time we went for any type of a physical, that was the thing they found, murmur of the heart. So, anyway, I thought it would have affected his heart. So did Grandpa, but he used to work in the Coca-Cola, was a heavy job. So anyway, when he went, they gave him the examination and the interview, you know, and everything. And then he went, they make you go in the rooms to be examined, and for your lungs, for your eyes. It was all different doctors. When it came to his stomach, his heart, they found that he had an incision, you know, in the belly there, on the belly. So they said, what is this? So Grandpa said, well, you know, told him the story. While he was working for this company, that time he was very young, I didn't even know him. He said, I was working on this truck, I got an appendix attack. He said, and my appendix burst, and they had to rush him to Lincoln Hospital in Harlem, and they gave him an emergency operation because he was getting poisoned, you know. And so But they had to work on him so fast to open it, to take all that. That when they closed him up, they left like a, instead of doing like this, maybe they left like a thin wall. Too bad we never talked about it. You see, his skin on the operation, his was a cut, and there was like a thin wall. Thin, but we didn't know at that time what that was. So when he was in his heart and everything, his eyes, his ears, he was a big fellow. He was kind of heavy at that time. So they said, when he went to the desk, to be accepted or rejected, they stamped rejected. Then Grandpa said, my God, why was I rejected? So then he went and he questioned. He said, why I'm rejected? He said, I'm glad. He said, but what for? What was wrong with me? He said, well, they explained to him, the doctors explained. He said, this operation that you had that many years ago, he said, if you ever, he said, I don't think, because he was in his 30s, Grandpa, and he said, I don't think that you would go in the front lines, but wherever, you could be like, let's say, I don't know how many miles at that time he told Grandpa. He said, and then they start shooting, there's bombs, you don't know where those bombs are going. It was the war, like. He said, and you could, your appendix will burst and open, and everything will come out. He said, he said, you can't, you're rejected. So Grandpa said, well, I thought it was my heart because of that murmur. Because we said, oh my God, I wonder if you could do this. I wonder if you could do that. He said, no, your murmur has nothing to do with that. He said, we would have grabbed you. But you're lucky, he said, because, you lived with it. But it's, it isn't such a nice thing, but it was working. Like if there's an explosion, it would work and it couldn't, but most likely they said it will, because you know how they bombed.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, then he came home and he rang the bell, and I said, oh my God, I couldn't wait until he came home. And he rang the bell, and I said, oh, I was accepted, he said. Oh my God, I said, oh God. So after I said, nah, he said, I was rejected, he said. I said, why, your heart? He said, what heart? He said, he showed me. He said, you see this? He said, it's, see the line, the incision? And when they put it together, I don't know how they do it now. Now they do it with clips and all. See, like we'll say they do it with clips, but in this way, they took the end of the skin, like, can't explain. And it was like soft. It's true that if you bagged it, I don't know, well, and thank God, that was good. He was rejected, and he continued his work, and he was so happy. He called up everybody and told them.
It's jumping a little bit. The screen's jumping. That's great. Oh, that's great. I don't know what's going on here. It doesn't seem to like it. Okay. I don't know, man.
It stopped?
No, it didn't stop. It's still on, but it's going. It's like jumping a little bit. Just make sure the plug's on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad.
Yes, good. That's about it. I mean,
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good for this.
That was sad about all that people were. Then, after that, now listen to this. So when I moved to where I live.
No, Graham. No, just wait 1 second. It was jumping a little. It was like going like this.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's kind of strange. Weird. Was there an earthquake or something around here?
Where? No.
Okay. Okay. What are you saying? When you moved?
No, you see, like, I lived in the 3 rooms. So I said, I didn't want to put, like, one kid in, put them in separate rooms. I wanted the baby to be in my room. I said, oh, after a year or so, I'm going to go into the 4 rooms. That was before the war, you know. Then all of a sudden the war broke out, and everybody moved. They all, I don't know where people were coming from. All the 4 rooms, because when I moved, it was such a depression when we moved where I live now. Look how many years, almost 50 years. 50 years, actually, living there. And nobody would pay their rent. And they used to leave them, but they used to leave for 3 months, 4 months. They weren't even dispossessed because our poor men didn't even have the money, the landlord. And those buildings were custom built. You know our building where I live, and across the street, there's double buildings. They were made by some architects, and the material that they put in there. And well, at that time, maybe those buildings weren't worth like today. Would say they're worth 3 million, 2 million. Those apartment houses. So I don't know what they paid, but that was one of Daddy's second cousins, and I didn't even know it. And we were the 2 buildings that he had built, you know, across the street from where I live. Now they were built by this Uncle Joe Pagano, Daddy's grandpa's like second or third cousin, but I didn't know. So and one of the cousins, you remember Aunt Marta, don't you?
Yeah.
Richie's mother. Well, now she was Grandpa's aunt, and her sister's daughter, which was Grandpa's aunt too. She came and she said that cousin, the uncle, wasn't a cousin. It was so mixed up. We were relatives. Said, oh, you know, Gus, you're living over here. Our cousin is losing that house. He already lost this house here. See, but we didn't know. Because when I first got married, I lived in another nice little apartment, too. So she said, why don't you just move there? And this way, you know, you'll help and the people don't pay their rent. And he said, that's all right. So we moved across the street, you know. That's why I wasn't in a hurry to get 4 rooms, because my kitchen is big. And all the other kitchens were so small, and I was coming out of a small kitchen. I said, well, this kitchen is beautiful. It was so, we had nothing in the back. Then they built the school, you know. They added to the school in '74. So I was so full of sun. I said, in a couple of years I'll move out. Right after that, the war broke out. And I don't know where people came, and we took 4 rooms, we took 3 rooms. But things started to get better, you know, but it was a depression. Nobody paid. A lot of people lost their houses because people didn't pay their rent. They couldn't work, and the rents were so cheap. It isn't that they got to pay a lot of money like they do today. Oh, it was much more than when people paid got $6 a week for pay. It was like they were making money, but there wasn't many jobs, and there was no unions. It was so, and I tell you, so then I stayed there. I said, I got used to my apartment, you know. I lived so comfortable. Then your mother got married, and I said, when she got married, there was an apartment across from me empty. So she said, Mom, I'm going to go and take those 3 rooms. I said, oh, Ro, don't move in the building. Go in another place. So she took an apartment on Walton Avenue. A beautiful apartment. Oh, she had to fix so beautiful. But after again, Uncle Woody would go there all the time. Uncle Monty was only a kid, and he didn't leave them alone. He was always there because your mother went to work for the first 2 years, you know, and she had a very good job, you know, and the bosses didn't want to lose her, and she, you know, didn't have no babies right away. So anyway, and Monty, she'd come home from work, and Monty would be sitting on the steps. He was so lonesome, that kid. He's only a child, but that wasn't that. He wasn't a rough kid, you know, that mingled in the street, that other boys, they didn't have no time to go visit him. He was always like a homeboy. And And he used to go visit her and think, he liked her. And then she said, oh, Ma, she said, I wish somebody moves out. I want to come to in our neighborhoods. I don't want to live here. This was like on Walton Avenue, on 79, beautiful house. And it was decorated so beautiful. So I said, all right, well, as soon as somebody moves out, you come in. And after exactly a year after some moving, Mrs. Chanel moved away. Because people never moved, They used to stay there, and life was a little easier, a little better.
Was it all Italians? Right?
We always had all Italians.
So, I mean, did that make for good interaction with the other people? Like, was it the fact that everyone was Italian that made everyone, like, so happy with each other and so?
Oh yeah.
You think so?
Because
Mom told me once, I think, about some bus that was routed through 187, and they got it pushed. It came from like 180th Street or something, and they had some black people on it.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that was your mother was living there. Now you see what happened. Then they started with these racial things. They didn't want, because those black people were starting to move into our neighborhood, and they were all Italians, and they didn't want them.
Why?
No reason.
Right, just because it was all Italians.
Because they were all Italian. Not that they didn't like them. They didn't do anything to them. But some rotten people, because it's rotten people, some people that maybe they didn't even belong there themselves, because we were people they were all born there, our kids, and they all knew each other. Look at your mother, the friends she still has. The reunion, they were all children that were all born and brought up together. They know everything. They laugh about Alex, how he teases your mother. I remember this. I remember your father, Junior, Jaya. The mother used to say, your daddy was Junior. Lucille's husband was a junior. There were so many juniors. So his mother was really an Italian, an immigrant like. So she used to say, but Alex, who's Junior? Give the knee. Your father had a dark face. Mm-hmm. Who's that? Which Junior they mean? He tells us story. Tell your mother. The fun you have to hear it when your mother was growing up, And this other girl, Pinky, that came. A lot of girls that they grew up around there together. See, and it's beautiful. And they didn't want them. They didn't want them to come in our block. And they were spiteful too, though. They used to come around. They wanted to try to fight the Italians.
It's Gene.
Gene, yeah. So they wanted to be smart. So Artuso, the pastry shop, his sons, they all grew up around there, and a lot of these boys from Arthur Avenue. Arthur Avenue. They were rough kids, and they used to throw stones at the as they came in the park. They used to throw. That's why we had our bus running from 187 to 3rd Avenue. Then they had to stop it. The bus only ran from Potomac Avenue, like we had the bus used to come from Arthur Avenue to the Boulevard, from 3rd Avenue to the Boulevard. Mm-hmm. Then they stopped it, and now the bus comes only on, you don't pick up on any of the street but Potomac, and it takes you like to Fordham or wherever you want to go. But they started to throw stones at the windows, and it was getting pretty rough, Then the cops, they stopped it because they didn't want them there. Not that they didn't like them, because the ones that I'm talking about now that did this were the ones that just came in our neighborhood. They didn't even really belong there themselves. And the Artuso boys, all right, they were born and brought up around there. And they were like wise guys, Mm-hmm. Not because they figured, they're not coming in our neighborhood. But let me tell you, those boys were rough too, those black boys. They used to look for trouble too. Because if somebody walked in their block, they didn't like it. I mean it. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of gang wars. Like in Harlem, when I was telling you about Harlem, We lived 123rd, 124th. 123rd was back to back, like Jones' house, right? Now, 123rd, it was all Irish. And the Italian and the Irish never clicked. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And because they used to call the Italians guineas, and they used to call the Irish mix, you know, all
Right.
that. And they used to fight. And you know, they used to go and fight your block and the Irish. The Irish were tough too, but the Italians always used to win.
Why?
Huh?
We were tougher?
Oh, they were rough kids. They were rough too. They were nobody's fools, the Irish. They were rough kids. But they got them. They, oh, tonight there's going to be a war. Tonight we're going to, the mothers try to keep them in. I mean, they weren't allowed to stay out all hours of the night like now, you know. But at a certain time they went and do their thing and they used to fight. We used to come home with a broken arm and oh my God. And then, what did they do was something, the Irish. Yeah, so we had a lot of Irish in our neighborhoods, you know. Then they became very good friends. But the Irish and the Italians never really got along, really.
For no reason?
For no reason. And nobody liked the Jews. The Jews couldn't even get a job. Did you know that?
Around you? Or nowhere in the country?
Any place. No. Like I went to the telephone company. And if I went there and I say, my name is Abelson, right away, get out, you can't work here. They didn't want no Jews. Only Italians and other nationalities, Irish, they were all accepted. No Jews. Grandpa went to Coca-Cola, right? You couldn't have a Jew working there. Telephone companies. Isn't that when they were the most hated race? The most hated.
It's amazing.
But you know why? I tell you why too. All right, because they were very smart. They used to, and you know why? Because when they went and worked someplace, they wanted to come and be the bosses. You know, they wanted to tell the boss what to do. They were very smart. You know, and they figured, hey, he's not going to tell me. And the boss, hey, what am I going to take him to tell me what to do? So before they hired any Jews, it's I don't know how many years it is since they're really, really accepted. And just see even now what they do. I don't like the Jews, nobody likes them. Isn't that something? Oh, he's marrying a Jew? Carmine, you know,
Yeah.
Lucille Carmine. Ricky's married a Jewish girl,
Right.
right? Do you know, he said, I want my children to know they can marry anybody but a Jew. And God made Ricky, he went out with an Italian, went out with a Polish girl, he went out with another nationality. And who did he stick to? The Jew? Because this Jew was nice. She's nice, Renee.
Yeah.
So, but to Carmine, that's what everybody says with his friends. Hey, you see, you didn't want it, but she's a lovely girl. That's what I mean. I mean, they used to fight, have wars. But I mean, it was something really beautiful, though.
Beautiful.
Yeah, no, you know why? You know why I say that? Because nobody got killed from that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They didn't fight with guns. They used to fight with their heads. Then you know what used to happen? This is something really, like on election day. Now, I don't think you ever heard this, which is a fact. On election day, the night before election day, during the month of October or November, they would go and pick wood, lumber. They used to go in the lumber yard and try to get all that wood that they either threw away. And they used to put it in the backyard. Backyard, everybody, you did it in your block, you did it on election night. They used to put it in the middle of the street, like we lived on 24th. They used to pile up that wood, that piled up, and they used to start the fire. That was like a celebration. Isn't that something?
For what? Celebration for what?
For election. And they used to vote. No, yeah, in November.
It's pretty
That,
nice. Why do you think they did it? What was the
Well,
idea behind it?
I
That
don't
they could
know.
vote? That they could vote? Because most people are immigrants, I guess, right?
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I don't think it was for that. I don't know, but they was I don't know why, you know. But the fires used to the firemen used to come and put out the fire. As soon as they went away, the kids used to get together and have more wood they had. And they used to make it in another pot. That's what I mean, it was fun. Oh, election night, everybody used to wait. We used to stay near the fire, so nice and warm. We were all kids, I'm talking about when I was a little girl. And all these kids used to say so much fun, oh my God, and throw a piece of wood into the fire. The flames, and they used to make it like big. But you know how much wood they used to pile up? Those kids always stuck together though, you know? And they pile, all of a sudden, yeah, and the firemen. And I was like a tomboy myself, and we all used to run, oh, fun we had, oh God. That's what I mean about the days. Today they don't have fun like that. Like they used to do different type of fun they had. Not fun like we had then. Election night was a big night, boy. And it was so nice. We used to bring the wood in the backyards, and there's piled up like to the fence. And they used to start their fire as soon as it got dark. All the kids used to get together. And the mothers and fathers didn't care. That was traditional, like it was. Oh, tell you, that's why there's so many things, beautiful things. And when you really sit and think of what it is today with the children, really, children, they're 5, 6 years old, they drink and they smoke pot. You know what I mean? You say there was. I think these are the things were then. Like you didn't want to go to school, and you didn't. And you had to obey your parents. You couldn't be fresh and curse like some kids. What your mother said go to bed, you went to bed. You know, they were pretty strict, and children were very obedient. Like Uncle Bantina, he didn't want to go to school, and they didn't compel you. You could just say, well, he's got to go. The troop officer. If you came and picked him up and he went, if not, he'd run. All right, Grandpa, when he used to come home, Grandpa, I didn't hit him because you forget about it. You want to hit them. But then Grandpa sometimes used him in the store. He figured I need him when he stay home. But really, tell you, I say I wish I could live those years again. If they offered me a palace, I did it. And like when, let's say, the world began, and they say, what do you want to, what kind of a world would you want to live in? I say, give me the world that I lived in before. I don't want to live in this kind of world. Everybody's got money, nobody, and there are people that say they don't have, you know, that they're poor, and there's people that they live in shelters, and some people like downtown, they live in the street. A lot of, I don't know, I don't think that's, they don't want to work, I think, the ones that, you know, Vegas, like they say, they beg, downtown, like, but too much crime, too much. I hate this world, I really do. Because you gotta can't live with people, because you never know who your next door neighbor is. That's what I mean.
You don't know who to trust now.
You can't trust nobody. You really can't, because you think he's your friend, but he's not. No, you can't. They're very envious, you know. They're envious. One, you got this, I want to have. You got a Mercedes, I want to have a better car. They look at you and they throw that evil eye. And you can't tell nobody. Don't ever tell your business to nobody, because people are very jealous. I mean it. And you got lovely friends in school. Don't you think so, Peter?
Yeah, I don't trust them.
Well, you don't trust them. No, not that you don't trust them. You're afraid. You don't know who to trust.
Yeah, I mean, I trust them to a certain
Certain
point, but there's always the reservation. Yeah, there's always a little reservation.
No, that's what I mean. Like, but before they were so sincere. They were very, very sincere people. As I said before, like this girl. Well, this was when we were older. but that she didn't want her boyfriend because I was pretty, and she thought, well, he's going to fall in love with her. Yeah, that's childish thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But still, they thought like that. There are people like that. But they were so honest, you know. Tell you, look, I was friends with my friend Josie, who passed away not too long ago. We grew up together. We did everything together. We never had fights, you know. We respected each other, and the children respected. Now it's another world. Everybody's who wants this car, the other wants the other car. All right, they go dance and they disco and whatever, but there ain't fun like we had. You know, like innocent. No, I'm sorry. I wish, but I wouldn't want to be born in this world. I feel sorry for the kids that are being born. Really, I don't know if you think that way.
I do.
Right, Jay?
Yeah, I do.
Because it's a sin. You know, look at they steal children, they kill children, I don't know, you're afraid when they go to school, all this. Oh, terrible. You don't know, you want to send them to kindergarten, you don't know the girls, you don't know if they molested the kids, that's the way they talk about. And you don't know if you trust, you think they're so good, you don't know what they do because I tell you, I blame it again on television. Because they tell you what to do, how to do, and what not to do. And those pictures that they show, you know, like love stories. Like, I tell you, I look at all my children. I look at a few of them. But then I like to look to talk shows. I love to listen to talk shows, you know, and games. I love to hear the news. But I'm not crazy about I look at all my children. But see, if I don't look at it, but it's not as raw as those other stories. And then all right, we don't have all these channels that you have, but I don't like television. I never liked it. Here's my mother. I always threw a row. I hate television. Grandpa used to love the radio. That's all he loved, all those old bands. Oh, beautiful. Those were such beautiful days. These days stink. I can hear it. Who's that?
Mom.
She's whispering. How come?
No. Well, who are you talking to?
Carol calls. Wants to know if I want to go to the wake tonight. I said, Carol, it's almost 8:30. I'm not dressed.
Yeah.
So she said, she'll call me tomorrow. Why are you whispering? What are you talking about?
Am I going to holler?
It's not whispering.
Talking to me? I don't know you're there. What was it I said I wanted to ask your brother?
Who died of AIDS?
Oh, yeah. Who died of AIDS, that actor?
How much? Who died what?
Rock
AIDS.
Hudson.
Rock Hudson. No, I was telling her about when we were living on 13, and I was going to be a bridesmaid.
The man had TB?
Huh?
The man had tuberculosis?
Oh, I'm going to tell you that
Tell
story.
me.
No, my Pauline, you know, and
Poppy?
Lily. When I was going
Poppy?
yeah. See, she remembers the name. So Pauline was going out with that fellow Gregory, and they were going out steady.
Yeah.
And I was going to be a bridesmaid. You know the story. When she told my girlfriend Irish and Elvira, don't invite, don't introduce Gregory to Jeanette when she comes to the party. And they came and tell me. And what I didn't tell her, oh boy, I gave it up.
Oh, you guys, it's 20 to 9.
Relax.
Are you staying over, Mom?
Oh no, if Peter promised to take me home early in the morning.
He can't, Mom.
Why?
What time in the morning?
You going to go with your father and your brother
I'm going at 9:30 to work.
to work? With your brother too?
In the Bronx. No, by myself. With
Oh,
Cat.
yeah, with Cat.
You want to go 9:30?
Yeah, they'll wake me up early, all right?
Okay, I'll take you 9:30 if you want. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go to the Bronx.
Yeah.
Well, unless you want to go home late, if Master and I'll take a ride tonight.
Yeah, I don't
He's
care.
kind of tired, though.
Yeah, would be better too.
Okay.
Dad's a little
All
tired.
right, we go after Suzanne, whatever her name is. All
Roseanne.
right?
Roseanne.
After Roseanne. All right? See?
Well, it must be Carmine on the phone. I heard him just out. We got home right away. Now we're
Oh. Now, what was I going to tell you?
Tuberculosis.
Huh?
Tuberculosis started.
Yeah.
I
Now,
have to ask him, all right?
this was always 113 I'm talking about now. Now, I was then about 17, let's say like that, maybe 16, 17 at that time. And my friend that I said I was going to be a bridesmaid for, oh no, yeah, it was about 16 like that. And she had a brother at that time, TB, tuberculosis. You know, like everybody had tuberculosis. Today, God forbid, they die with cancer. Then it was TB. There was no cure. No, that's like a lung disease. And there was no cure for that. So my friend's brother had tuberculosis. They used to live on 13 where we lived. And they moved 114 up across the street from the park. And now this is what they said, that there used to be like the pier. And it was one hot summer day. And this fellow, Tom, jumped into the river, and he perspired, and he got a very, very bad cold as possible, and he got tuberculosis. So you couldn't cure that. So their parents went to the doctor. He said, well, you know, he has to go to this hospital, Highlands. It's up in the mountains, you know. And you have to go at that hospital, and over there, the air is very high, very, light. The air is good for the lungs, and, with medication and rest, maybe we could cure him. So naturally, they did everything. Of course, they said, now it says we're so far, but it may be an hour away. So anyway, he went there. And when he went there, before that, he was going out with this girl. Her name was Camilla. And they owned a bakery like on 13 on First Avenue. And that was his girl. And when the parents found out that he had to go away because he was sick, naturally, they didn't want their daughter to marry him because he was a sick fella, So, and she loved him, and he loved her. What a wonderful fellow. So much older than me. And it was his sisters, like we were. The one that got married was older than me, too, But I was like always in the family there. So anyway, he used to come home like on holidays. And the mother used to save all his glasses, whatever he ate from, or spoons and forks, put them away. When he came home, she used to, only he could touch that because it was very, very contagious. So anyway, and he used to come home mostly on, as I said, St. Anthony, or on Aronogalme, Mount Carmel, because we used to have a big feast there, and the mother had a robe made, like St. Anthony robe for him. And they used to be like on St. Anthony's Day, right on the 13th of June. They used to make the procession. They used to take the saint out of the church, and the people used to follow. In the Bronx, I followed a few times. And because that went on, it's still going on. The they weren't as devoted as they were then, And God and the whole family used to follow. They used to go from one block to another, and people put money and jewelry on the St. Anthony's robe, and the boxes full of money. They used to donate that to the church, Well, anyway, a couple of years we came, St. Anthony, I don't know, God, maybe on Christmas, only on holidays, but it seemed like, and every time he came, he got in touch with his girl, and they were gone. And meanwhile, the mother and parents didn't want. They said, no, we forbid it if he was a sick fellow and all that. So came a time when she wrote to him, and she said, Tommy, I cannot go out with you. My family, forbids it. And she made him understand that, they're right. She said, as much as I love you, I'm going to be brokenhearted. But I can't, So anyway, he was brokenhearted. So one day, I get a letter from him, from where he was there, Highlands, and he wrote, Dear Jeanette, Hawaii and all that, I want you to do me a special favor. he said, you know, Camilla and I aren't going out anymore because, you know, he said, well, you know, the family's right. I'm a sick fella, and, you know, it's not right. He said, but there's a song that I want. He said, and I want you, if you can, do me a special favor. Go and look in this music stores where they sell records, and please get me the song. And the song was Among My Souvenirs. Did you ever hear that song?
No.
Oh, it's beautiful. Please, Jeanette, try to do this. I have faith in you that you'll do that favor, give me that favor. So me, I went looking all over, and I found, because that was a popular song, like there's nothing left for me of things that used to be. I live in memories among my souvenirs. See, that was so appropriate, because he used to think only of her. And there's other beautiful words. So I went, and I mailed it to him. Oh, you will see, thanked me and everything. And those days, tuberculosis was terrible. And it affected like these mostly, see the Bronx, there's not here, the Harlem neighborhood. So we, as I said, we all lived there. And then Grandpa, we moved in the Bronx. See, then it must have been about 16, something like that. And we moved where we are now, where I am. And Grandpa opened up a bakery there, because that was his line. And wherever he thought that he could make money, he would sell that and go there. Oh, so we moved, and I was brokenhearted. I loved Harlem, you know, because we were bought there and everything. So anyway, and my friends, so we moved there. But there was a lot of tuberculosis in our block, all those blocks are 11, because the buildings were, those were tenement houses, the buildings were very close. There was a shaft, like in the bedrooms there was no windows. Like we had air shafts, you know, that's how those buildings were built. And you know, like you breathe each other's air, more or less, you know. So anyway, we moved there, and we had a nice apartment and everything, a Cotonou area. So anyway, this friend of ours, our daughter, got very sick with pneumonia. And the doctor said she's on the verge of getting TB, tuberculosis. Her lungs are very weak. He said, I'm going to tell you, you know, you're familiar with Fordham, the Bronx, you know. It was like a country then. He said, well, that's about the only place I advise you to get an apartment and move away, because that has the best air. Imagine the Bronx. But we had a section of it that there was the incurables. They lived on, you know, where Parton Road, you know.
St. Barnabas?
St. Barnabas Hospital.
Mom, excuse me a second. It's 20 to 9. Roseanne's going on at 9. Chicken soup's going on at 9:30. Daddy said he'll take Grandma home. I'll go with him because he has to go to Rigoletto's.
No.
After.
Yeah.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, so that's what, you got 20 minutes in
All
case
right.
you want to see Roseanne.
Yeah, I want to
Okay,
see.
that's good enough.
So anyway,
I'll tell you when it's 2 minutes to 9.
so as I said, so this woman that had her sick daughter that was so sick, she had just gotten married to the girl, and she got this bad lung sickness. And so they knew a little more about it then, you know. This was like years after. So anyway, she got in touch with Grandma. She came to the bakery one day. She said, Camilla, Grandma's name was, said, please try to get me an apartment, because you have people coming in and out of here, and if there's any vacancies, I can ask them. And Grandma said, sure, she said, because my daughter Fanny is on the verge of, she's almost got TB, you know, in the time she said. So Grandma said, of course, she said. Well, maybe a week or 2 or 3, whatever, she finally got her an apartment. Now, you know where, Cotonou Avenue, on, you know where 74 is, you know when you come there, you want to go to Rigoletto, you know the school, Grace Dodge, across the street, the first house. And she got a mother and a daughter, an apartment there, and under the doctor's care, because I said she couldn't get no children, she got 2 beautiful boys, and she lived until a ripe old age. she got cured of that TB. Then it started to be, but the Bronx, that's where we had the house there, where St. Barnabas Hospital is. It was only the wealthy came there because they had like it was a hospital, you know, and they had like decks that they used to sit out there, porches, you know, only rich people. It was beautiful. Lived there, no, came from all over to go and that, but when they had TB. That's what, and we lived, that was our air that we were breathing. You know, that's where they were, like, I tell you, the Bronx is beautiful. You know, now it's so crowded and congested. But our part, there was very, very few houses. We had a lot of empty lots. Then they built a Gray Star too. Oh, I'll tell you. Oh, it was nice. Beautiful days. Those were the, as we said, depression days. But like you couldn't go buy steak. Oh, God forbid, nobody ate it. Very few people ate steak. They used to eat like bread and potatoes and pasta fazool, lentil soup, and like the clothes, they didn't buy like the way the children buy. The sneakers, $50. Their sneakers were $5, $3, and they used to go until they had holes into them. And that was a different lifestyle. Oh, I'll tell you. It was beautiful.
Well, tell me about the neighborhood, like when people started moving, integration and stuff like that.
For what?
The integration of the neighborhood, like with the blacks when they came
Oh,
in?
yeah.
What was
Then
it
they
like?
started to, it was very bad, because then they started to come in. They came in where the Puerto Ricans came in, and the blacks, and they, a little bit at a time, they started to come, you know. In our block now, we got the opposite meters on of Puerto Rican, but they seem to be very nice. But we have blacks, like in the blocks. They didn't bother nobody when they first came. They knew they weren't wanted. They used to walk a straight line. Now they got that they feel that they're superior to us because you got a beauty contest whether they make this one come out. They got the best jobs. When you go to be interviewed or go for a job, who's there? There's all these black things and, you know, Puerto Ricans. But the ones that are good are very good. And there's bad. And people they never lived next door to you, though. Never. No.
Where could they live?
Then they started to move on the boulevard. I see, you know what did it? The Jews. As soon as one moved there in, they moved out. Then the second one would come in. They lived on the concourse. The Jews had the best homes, you know, for them, concourse. The homes. As soon as the blacks started to, you know, move in there, if somebody gave them the right of way to come in, the Jews would run away. They'd go to, let's say, the Rockaways. They go always start the best places like Long Beach and then all those places. And the blacks would come in. You see the concourse. You go through it.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful place. That wide. You had all the most beautiful stores there. That's no good.
So what was the feeling in the neighborhood when the people started moving in?
Oh, they
Everybody's-
started to resent it, but you can't, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Because we were like a bunch we all stuck together. And we didn't want to leave, you know?
A lot of people left though, right?
A lot of them did, yeah. A lot of them are coming back. Yeah. There's people that don't want to leave that neighborhood. And a lot of people are coming back. That is considered Little Italy. Because now we have a lot of Italians from the other side. We have all these young girls and young fellas. They open up these, these cafes, you know, outdoor cafes.
Yeah.
Who do you think has got them? Not the American godchildren. All moved away from there. They're the mothers that are there now, because they wouldn't live there. As soon as they got married, they ran away. They went to the Bronx, to was on the island, they went to Westchester County, Connecticut. You know, they made good moves. Plus they had nice jobs, they were nice kids. But the mothers remained, you know, some of them went away too, and they went to senior citizen homes, you know. But it's
You think
not,
that-
not, we have all Italians, young girls that come from there. They're beautiful. Let me tell you, you got some beautiful girls in our neighborhood. And they think who the hell they are. They think they own that neighborhood. And sometimes when I get in, I'm in the store, and the people, hey, I said, you forgot where you came from? We were born here. This is our country. I tell them the hell with them. Because sometimes I think they think who the hell they are because they speak English. And some of them, they don't want to leave there. They're getting to be just like the Puerto Ricans.
Why?
They speak only Italian. You're over here, why don't you speak this language? What do you speak Italian for? Why do you speak Puerto Ricans? Because they want their children not to forget their language, you know. But Antoinette gets mad. And why don't they talk, you know, with the way they're supposed to? They came here, they made money here, and they send it to Italy. Or they send it to Puerto Rico, I don't know. But in Puerto Rico, the people are nicer than the ones that are over here. That's what they say. I don't know what's over there. I tell you.
And do you think the people stuck around the neighborhood because they liked the old times, like they missed, they didn't want to lose their friends, right? And stuff like
Yeah,
that?
of
Because it was
course.
so good at one time.
Oh, they were good. And even their children, they love, your mother loves our neighborhood.
I like it
But
too.
you know what it is with your mother? Then she lived in 4 rooms. She had 3 children. And it isn't like years ago, in 3 rooms, 10 children lived. Isn't what they say? Well, I want 4 rooms because my son has to have his own room, my daughter. No, they lived, they were happy the way they lived. But now everybody, as I said, they make money, they want to better themselves. That's why they moved, you know?
Mhm.
But your mother loves, you can knock our neighborhood down, she loves it. But she, well, her friends, see now when they meet, they all talk about, they were talking the other day with Monty, and one of the fellow lives in Smithtown, and he's gone from the neighborhood since he got married, he's got grown children. And they said, oh, I miss it, is this place still there, is the other one still there? Because some of them lost their parents, you know, they don't live there. And he said, oh, I miss the neighborhood, I wish I... Well, some are still living there, not too far from there, you know. And they meet, like once a year, they have different gatherings, you know. And it's nice. Now, they moved, like I said, because they were forced to move, because the school, you know, wasn't so good now, because all these beauties go there. And Grace Dodge, 74 next to me, they're all black people. But they're nice, you never hear from them. You never hear that they have, they're very, very nice, you know. That's why I say, because they come in, why do you run out? Not because you say, well, why does another one have to come before she runs? Because you don't mix in with them.
Mhm.
If you mix in, they don't bother you, really. Now, there's some nice ones around our way. It was the Jews that used to run away. Those stinkers, they're afraid of their own shadow. I mean it. But it's different, I tell you. Yeah. And we always talk about these times when we were growing up, you know, how the neighborhood was, all the tags. They used to be the peanut vendor, used to come around.
Oh,
Then
you
there
got it.
was the man that used to sell the potatoes, used to come with a wagon with the potatoes, used to make sweet potatoes, and he used to buy us all. He said, I'll give you a half. Couldn't buy a whole one, so give me half. Maybe it was 3 cents, or it was 5. If you got a whole one, it was like, we'll say, 5 cents, you know. That's how times were. You enjoyed those times. We had like Mr. Dubin used to come around with the cake. He used to knock on the door, we used to buy a piece of cake, you know. And then we'd have coffee all together like you bought it today. He used to come around twice a week, Dubin's, with the cake. And then we used to have the good humor, Now they come around with ice cream, Carvel, all that. This was a good humor, man. But there was so much, it was nostalgia then. Now, it's not the same. It's not like when we were growing up. And those days are mad. Children, so that if you offer them a quarter, they'll throw it at you. That time if they got a quarter, maron, I mean, they used to fight for 2 cents. But have battles. That now, they don't even want to pick it up. The baby, Jennifer, I don't want it. And the baby, I don't want it. Years ago, 3 years old, they knew what the money was. You know, that now, you know, like now they don't want it. But I mean to say, they didn't know about money because they didn't have it, the kids. But today, they don't want it. Like, kids, years ago was different. You can't explain it. It's a different life. You always talk about it with your mother. We used to get together and sing old songs. And all those old songs. And we used to sit near the building. And on hot, hot summer days, the people used to sleep on the fire escapes. Some used to sleep on the roof because the summers that we had, and this was in the Bronx now too, we used to have such hot, hot summers that some fellas, you know what they used to do? They used to buy eggs and go and fry them on the sidewalk to show you the heat, how high. They used to have the horse and wagon, and how many horses they used to just drop dead. And before they took them away, it used to be maybe a couple of days. They used to die on the floor near the boulevard when you make the turn to come to my house. That's where Grandpa had one of his bakeries. And the horses used to work so hard because there wasn't many cars or trucks. The poor horses, and they didn't care because it was hot. They used to make those poor horses go. I bet they didn't even feed them the way and they used to do, I'm telling you, fall on, and everybody in the flies. But, you know, it wasn't such a clean living, you know, because they weren't like today. They're more conscious of cleanliness, you know. Like years ago was a little different. Little different. And with that chair, I think we said enough.
Yeah.
But you know what you do, Peter?
What?
You cut, you know.
The first thing I have to do is type it all out.
Yeah.
And then I
you
arrange
go
it.
through it. You arrange it
Yeah.
like
I'm
you
gonna put it Depression, I'll put
in,
Harlem, I'll put it, you know.
Yeah, you put it in
all
your
the
own
stories,
words.
yeah, all the
But
stories.
it's the same stories.
Oh, I wouldn't put it in my own words.
No.
I use your words, but I put it in my own order. I
Order,
edit it,
yeah.
edit it. You need to take out some.
You take some part and you put
Right.
it where, or take some.
Right, exactly.
I mean, after
That's what you
all-
have to do.
Yeah. Listen, I want to get paid.
Yeah, you got it. How much?